self-empowerment, believing in themselves, trusting themselves, understanding that they have what it takes. And everyone's different. It takes time. Someone else's timeline is to each their own.
Welcome to the Beauty Talk podcast, where we feature how the best medical practitioners help their patients to look better, younger, and healthier. Now, enjoy the show, and here's your host.
Daniel Gao here. I'm the host of Beauty Talk. We feature the top practitioners in health and beauty, both inside and out. I have Adina Das, a powerhouse educator, master stylist, and industry mentor with over 2 decades of experience transforming not just hair, but lives. She's a Redken artist, a trailblazer in beauty education, and a champion of self-worth and confidence. Adina brings heart, humor, and serious expertise to everything she touches, and today she's here to light us up. So Adina, welcome and glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the positive introduction.
Yeah, so let's dive right into it. Adina, can you share how your journey really began in the beauty industry and really what's kept you passionate all these years?
Definitely, I can attest that I am living life and doing and achieving my passions. This is, what I've come here for and the evolution of the beauty industry. I grew up in the industry. My mom was a salon owner. She owned a nail tech inside a salon. At a very young age, I had expressed that I wanted to do what they did, the hairdressers, and not what she did, the nails. And then kind of forgot about it. That was a very young, outwardly statement. And then cut to, I went through beauty school. I am actually a beauty school dropout. I went to beauty school right out of high school. And then about 6 months in, transportation became an issue. So then I kind of went on and carried about my life for a couple of years, went and got my early 20s out of the way. And then about 2 years later, I went, okay, it's time. And I got back into the industry and just followed that path, learning and growing and changing and transforming and listening to myself. And, here I am today.
Got it.
How far back do you want to go? So the education portion.
No, I think that's good. I think that's good. I'll touch on the education part of it a little bit later on, but I just want to get an idea like where you started in the industry.
Yep.
Now, was there any type of turning point where you realized that it wasn't just about doing hair, it was about transforming lives? I kind of mentioned that in your introduction, but what was that, or was there a turning point that you remember, or was it just something that you always just wanted to, you just saw that you were transforming lives by doing this?
A little of both. I in education, you learn what you learn from the people around you, your mentors, your coaches, and everybody around you. And it's not to take on everything and be the exact version of what you hear, but to take on a little bit of whatever resonates with you and carry in and through your career. And it was at a young age, it was like, what's trending? What's trendy? And I was like, what the honest truth is, like, I'm not here to put a trend on your head. I'm here to make sure that you exude outwardly what you're feeling on the inside. I didn't really know how to express that in that way at that time because I was young. And over the years, I learned there was a transformative point in my career where I started deep diving into self. And this was over 10 years ago. And I started deep diving into myself. I started doing self care and learning a bunch of information about self transformation and I don't know, human evolution. I mean, all the things. And along that journey, it started to open up just things that I was interested in, crystal readings and oracle card readings and uh, I did 2 years of a personal apprenticeship, meaning anybody that was willing to do so sit and say yes to it, then we would just play and I'd experience. They're like, what is it about? I'm like, I have no idea. Let's see what happens here. What are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. Just say yes. And it was life-changing. It was transforming. It was, people crying in my chair going, I thought I came in just for a haircut. And I realized just as someone would come in for a conditioning treatment for their hair, I was actually providing conditioning treatment for their spirit. So 2 years after I'd started my own personal journey, I started integrating these services behind the chair, and that was about 7 to 8 years ago.
Got it. Now,
hmm
you talk about hair as really the gateway to confidence. So, what does that transformation look like when someone is actually sitting in your chair?
It all starts with the meeting, what we call the consultation, and sitting directly in front of the person and just feeling into them. By them sitting in my chair, they've already given me permission and a yes to their hair. And just really sitting and listening and observing them. And one of my opening quotes is, what are your desires? And then what are your limitations? And then based off of what you tell me, I'm going to tell you what I think. Because and then I leave it at that. But on our side, on our note, I have vision for them. I can see them beyond what is being shown or said, right? It's just part of the art, right? And so as they're telling me, and where they want it and what they want it to look like, and sometimes it's an I don't know. So I'm able to talk about, then ask and gear my questions towards listening to like, do you want it a little longer? Do you want it shorter? Sometimes if they tell me that they want to cut it all off and they cut it to here, and I'll disagree. I'm like, no, nope, won't do it. And then I'll continue the conversation until we're both in agreement with where we're taking the overall look. I would say it's part intuition, it's part art, uh, and then definitely a lot of knowledge and skill.
I would say quite experience also. Just you
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
you develop
yeah,
that, I'll call it like a gut feeling just over all the years. You just get a feeling for someone and you just kind of know from experience, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, now that kind of leads me to this next question then. So then how do you balance like the trends with really helping someone feel like they're the best version of themselves, also your experience and just like that gut feeling we talked about, versus like what's popular. So someone comes in looking for something that's just popular but doesn't look good on them. So how do you balance that between the two?
It's all trends are customizable.
Mhm.
So just because a trend comes out and might be extreme in certain measures, it would be really about like what is it about the trend that you like, and then how can we customize this end result to like meet you and make sure that you look your best while feeling like you're in your hair statement piece.
Okay. Now, I'm also curious, like, because Adina, you built a successful brand as really a stylist and also an educator. So, what advice would you give to stylists or anyone who wants to get into the industry when they're really trying to build something meaningful, not just something that's trendy?
Right. I mean, education is key. Just really making sure that you have the foundations of your practice. So you need the foundations of color. You need to understand your why and like the actions that I take and the end results that I'm going to get. They call them the principles. With Redken, the brand, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to be brand specific, but with my brand, one I've worked for 25 years, principles are everything. So the cut and know why, the color and know why, finish and know why, really understanding the foundation of our movements to get the end results that we want. That allows us to sit in our creativity. It allows us to take the guesswork out and really be in a creative flow. It would be like, yes, a painter can paint without knowing the primary, secondary, tertiary colors, and they would get somewhere eventually. But in the end, for us, it's about like getting there faster and more efficient in our industry.
Got it. And do you think that the stylists who are going to be the most successful, what do you think is the skill sets or abilities or I guess characteristics that you think would make them successful? Like, is it the artistry? Is it the business sense? Is it the passion? Like, what do you think really kind of leads to having a better chance of success?
D, all the above. And taking ownership of your craft, taking ownership of your career, because it's nobody else's job to make you successful. Luckily in our industry, we have support systems that provide space for you, but in that, sometimes we get into our lazy characteristics and we want someone else to do all the work for us. But in the end, when we take charge of our business, no matter what the pay structure is, this is my this is my craft. This is my career. And when I anchor into understanding that it's my job to get me business, it's my job to strive and to do the thing that I love, talk about the thing that I love, be 100% there for the people, which are my clients, that now I'm providing such a service based off of skill set, based off of, customization, based off of being present with them, that now they're talking about me to their friends and getting me the referrals. And it really is about being fully anchored into understanding that you run your own business no matter where you're at.
Okay. And when people are want to learn, particularly from you or from any other educators out there, like for you specifically, how do you approach mentorship and education?
I think first come, first serve basis. No, I'm just kidding. How do I approach education if someone wanted to learn from me?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many different ways. I could do one-on-one mentorship. That would come through me personally. And then I also have the brand, which is Redken. People can have me into their salons for an entire day through the brand if they host and carry anything under the umbrella of L'Oreal, which it provides loyalty points, which then they can call me in. I have programs throughout the United States. I have work here in Los Angeles at the L'Oreal Pro Lab at our education facility here, and then in New York City at the Redken Exchange, which cut to will also be a L'Oreal Pro Lab Redken partnership.
Mhm. Okay. And if someone's learning from you directly, what are you hoping that they would learn from you, not just from the technical aspect of it, but maybe even the mindset, the emotional part of it? Like, what are you really hoping that they would learn from if they were to have you as their mentor?
Self-empowerment, believing in themselves, trusting themselves, understanding that they have what it takes. And everyone's different. It takes time. Someone else's timeline is to each their own. And that's it. Like really empowering them to be the best version of themselves.
Hmm. How would someone go about doing that? Because I'm sure that you've seen people out there that they want to have that confidence, they want to have that self-empowerment, but maybe something is blocking them. Maybe they're stuck. Maybe they have that lack of confidence. So, what would be your advice on how they can try and get over that or try and get that self-confidence?
It really is about mindset and about changing the neural pathways. We can get really silly with words here, but I'll keep it super simple. We have the thoughts that we think. And if those thoughts aren't making me feel good about myself, then it's time to change the thought pattern. So it is my job as an individual to not wait for the hands of others to pat me on the back to tell me I'm doing a great job. Like self-empowerment is the highest form of empowerment. Believing in myself, I trust myself, and it comes down to telling yourself these things. There are actual tangible and doable things that we can do for ourselves on a daily basis to self-empower. Could through breathing, through mantras, through mirror talk, and there's all different modalities to help give you what you need in each moment. And it continues to change over the evolution of your own time.
Got it. Okay. Now, I want to dive a little bit deeper on the other side of it, like the your client side. What do you think really makes a great salon experience really unforgettable?
Personalization and being present with them. Really knowing and remembering they're stepping out of their daily lives, however often they come to you, whether it be 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, it doesn't matter how often they come. They're stepping out of their experience, life experience, to come and sit in your chair. And how I make them feel will negate whether they're interested in coming back or not, new guests. What has created longevity is just personal relationships. There's hairdressers everywhere, but your people find you. And people come and go in the industry. Like I have clients come, they've been with me for a long time, and then they go away. And it's nothing personal. It's they move away or they're for whatever reason people go. But to me, that's always been when I'm creating a shift within myself, I have new guests that are coming through. And it's a personable experience. It's making it about them and their hair. It's about consultation, meaning not just about, it's really making sure that they know that you care about them, their hair, how they look, and how they feel.
Mm. I would imagine that for stylists, it's almost a mix between beauty and also therapy, I guess, in some sense. Like, could you talk a little bit more
Therapy.
about like, yeah, therapy? I like that. You talk a little bit more about that. Like, is there truth to that? Like, and like, what is that balance between the two, or is it just so interconnected together that I mean, that's why I came up with therapy.
Therapy, yeah. Well, I think they come in and we create such a deep bond. I think my client always brings up there was a commercial back in the day. It was like, no one knows but your hairdresser. I don't know what it was, but it was if no one else knows, your hairdresser does. It was something along the lines. But I think guests come in and they create a relationship with you that is connected. It is. It's about connectivity. If you're not connecting with the person that's with you, your guest in that moment, then they don't feel loved, supported, seen, heard, the thing that everybody wants to feel. And when you have that connection and you're able to create that space because you're creating that space for yourself, if you're not creating it for yourself, you can't create the space for them.
Mhm.
That's like self-serving. You have to serve self so that I can serve others, right? And they come in, they tell you their whole world. We go through like deep love and breakups and marriages and divorces and babies, and like we hear about a lot of things, and it's being able to manage that space and hold that space for the individual that sits there without taking it on. There's also modalities and practices for that too, so that we can create our own sustainability within ourselves throughout the day. Because imagine if we did that for 10 people on a given day, it'd be exhausting. And it is exhausting. That's why we hear in our industry about overwhelm. That's why we hear in our industry about like anxiety, overwhelm there. It's because I'm not going to say it's overarching because, but if we really take a look at it, when I create a space and then shift from that space back to self and then to the next guest, it's that back to self that really will create that sustainability in our day for ourselves and our career and the people that sit there. Am I answering the question?
Yeah, you are. You actually brought up a very good point because I never really thought about this. Is that sometimes it can be very emotionally exhausting. That's not the right word, but like it can be very taxing, especially like if you have lots of people that you're working throughout the entire day, and like you're having this deep emotional connection, and maybe like you have to listen to their issues and their problems, and you kind of take on some of that burden. And you talked a little bit about like trying to recenter yourselves, but for someone who is going through that, like do you have any tips or tricks on what they can do to try and have that longevity to be able to recenter and then kind of I guess shed off all that weight that they just went through and so that they don't get
Yeah.
burnt out so easily.
It's not even a week. It's throughout the entire day. You should be shifting from guest to guest. And it takes seconds. And it takes three things. It takes a breath, it takes a wild imagination, and an intention. That's it. That's all this work takes. And when you've sat with a guest and you've experienced them, and I think one thing that's really important to bring up is I get to negate the conversation. Meaning, I am not the dumpster for someone's experience. So I won't, if I'm not in a space to create that, then I won't prompt the open-ended questions that might lead someone to dumping on me, right? Instead of asking, how are you? Very open-ended. I'm going to ask somebody, what's good? So then that they start to process what's good in their life.
Mm.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't thought about that. No shit, you're too busy complaining. Then after I'm done having that beautiful exchange with my guests, they look good, they feel even better, and they leave, then it's my job as a service provider to go back to the station and with intention and a breath, clean my shears, wipe my station down. And there's a process called the central channel breath where we squeeze into the major central channels and the wheelhouses within our system so that I come back to self. I get into that grounding point. So top of our head, center of our mind, throat, heart, upper abdomen, lower abdomen, base of the spine. Squeeze. And when I do that and I breathe down and I breathe out, I breathe up and I breathe out, and then I breathe back down and back out. Then I've actually come back to self. And that's all it took. It took 3 breaths. It took a little bit of intention. And as I'm wiping the station down, as I'm cleaning the station before the next guest is even standing there. So I'm not doing this while someone's talking to me. I'm just doing it to take a second. My neighbors can't talk to me. Just give me a second, seconds,
Mhm.
and wipe things down with intention and then come back to self. Now everything's clean. Now you call the guest over. And I promise that when someone integrates these tactics, they're going to feel it and their guest is going to feel it.
Got it.
Mhm.
Now, for your clients, what are some of the most common mindset blocks that you've seen in some of your clients? Like you're trying to help them go through this transformation, but maybe there's something that's holding them back. So, are there any common mindset blocks that you tend to see? And then how do you help work them through those?
Mindset block is someone getting in their own way. Like they want the change, they want to do something different. They know they're supposed to be doing something different, but they just don't. They stay. And so it really someone has to give permission. Someone has to be ready. And I think I set people up with that in my opening to the energetic services is I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And that sets them up to understand like it's not always going to be like rainbows and butterflies and but I will do whatever needs to be said in a way that they just hear it as long as they need to hear it. And sometimes it doesn't come with a whole service. Sometimes it just comes with beautiful conversation.
Got it. Now, when people, we've been talking about empowerment, self-worth, and all those type of topics. Now, some people may look at it where if you're just doing hair, it's a temporary thing. It's really just the outside part of it. So, but how would you look at it? Really, beauty as a tool to help them kind of go deeper, like really more for their self-expression, instead of just it's not just skin deep, it's not just by the looks, but it's really affecting them internally. It's like how do you view beauty as that tool to be able to help them feel more like that on the inside,
Well,
not
beauty
just
is your topper. You know, when I need a Shades EQ gloss, I can feel it on the inside. And then I do it and I'm like shiny and new in and out. You know, it's like it really is the topper. If you're not, even putting on like mascara and lip gloss or, brushing your hair or putting on whatever someone needs or the nice shirt, just doing something for yourself on the outside really and truly helps build that confidence. Oh, I look good. I feel good. Okay, now I'm feeling more confident on the outside. Someone can put on a great outfit and they might don't feel good, then they literally have some work to do on the inside.
okay. Now,
Yeah.
let's say that there's someone who's really feeling stuck in their personal style or just not feeling confident. What's one small change that you would recommend so that they can start to feel a little bit more like themselves, start to build up the confidence a little bit more?
Stop looking for outside validation. It really is about self-assuredness. And that also goes down into some deep-rooted repatterning, right? Where maybe we grew up and we weren't told, like, you're awesome, you're pretty, you're handsome, you're like whatever we need. And when we seek that from the outside and we don't receive it, then sometimes we pattern into the lack versus, like looking in the mirror and looking past skin deep, looking past maybe a pimple you might have, or maybe whatever however you flaw yourself, look past that and look deep into your eyes and tell yourself how beautiful you are. Everyone's so uniquely beautiful in their own way. And to look past the aesthetic and look deep into your spirit to say, like, I love you. I think you're beautiful. Like, you've got this. I'm, and, and just really diving deep into the heart space, the confidence space to empower yourself. I have what it takes. I'm here for a reason. I am of value. Like I can go on.
Guess if you had to sum it up, it's allowing yourself a little bit of grace, a little bit
Yeah,
of
a lot of
freedom.
grace. Hmm.
Okay, got it. Now, Adina, are there any hair trends or techniques that you're really excited about?
It's funny. I have a program in December, and it's called Design and Finish Trends. And I always giggle about that because it's really like a trend can be a trend as long as it works for the person that sits in your chair. And then how do I customize that trend? I don't really, I have to be honest, I don't keep up with the trends. I'm not that girl. Do you, boo? Like, what looks good on you? What do you feel like? How, trend is customization. In my world, trend to me is making sure that that person is walking out feeling and looking their best.
Got it. Okay. Well, Adina, I have one last question for you, but before I ask it, I do want to point people to your website at adinadas.com.
Thank
Last
you.
question is, what does beauty mean to you?
Beauty is an inside and outside journey, making sure that I am sitting in my own self-empowerment and feeling good about who I am and putting on the great clothes and then really taking what I have to offer to each individual that I come into contact with, whether it be here with you, Daniel, or whether it be anybody down the street, walking down the street. Um, Beauty is an opportunity to be shared with everybody on a daily basis.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Adina sharing her expertise. So, Adina, where can people contact you in your business?
Go to adinadas.com and it will tell you all the contact information. It's the easiest.
Okay, awesome. Well,
Or
Adina,
I can say my social media handle on Instagram is mastery underscore my name, Adina Das.
okay, perfect. Well, Adina, this is amazing. Thank you for coming on and sharing your message.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Beauty Talk podcast. Any questions, please contact the practice directly with the contact information provided during the show. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.